Celtics Preview is brought to you by PrizePicks.
Hey everybody, welcome in. Guess what? For the very first time, at least since Summer League, and honestly, who other than our guest really cares about Summer League, we get to talk about real games. Almost real games. They're fake games. They're not real games. But I tried, guys, because at least they are games that mean more than Summer League, less than the regular season, and the regular season's coming because we are now, as we sit here, halfway through the preseason. The Celtics, they have split. Who gives a shit? The outcome doesn't matter. The players, the rotation unit, not even Dan Greenberg of Barstool Sports actually cares. You even tweeted as much. You don't care if they win or lose these games, but you do care about rotations and development and what we see and who's going to have a role, who plays well, who looks like crap, all this stuff. With Evan Valenti, I'm Adam Kaufman. Greeny, welcome. It's just nice to have Celtics basketball back, isn't it?
Isn't that the truth? You know, I'm going to push back. I thoroughly enjoy Summer League. I think there's value in every dribble of an NBA season, but it was a long 80 days between the end of July and the beginning of October. So life is better when they're playing, you know, coffee tastes better. The air is crisper. I tweeted that out on their opener. It feels nice to be able to have games to look forward to, sit down for 2.5 hours, experience every emotion under the sun like the good old days, and hopefully see some things that will translate over into the year that we can focus on when the games actually count.
A lot of fun stuff that we'll have an opportunity to get into. Of course, these preseason games, some of the individual performances, things that we would like to see. I don't think we're quite ready for the bold prediction set of shows. We'll get to that as we get closer to the regular season. Of course, Jayson Tatum, as he went vertical for that dunk, he sent us Celtics fans 6 to midnight. Who is excited about Jayson Tatum returning by, I don't know, Thanksgiving, probably at this
Halloween,
Halloween.
What do we?
Halloween opening night, even. I wonder if he's going to get any preseason reps in. We'll explore all of that as well. The preseason's the preseason, guys. I actually do want to get to Tatum later and start with the preseason here. The Celtics, they handle the G League Grizzlies, who had almost nobody on the floor in their first game. Boston was sitting a few of its rotational players. No Pritchard, no Simons, no Queta. Last time out, and as we sit here, this game was yesterday. The Celtics fall by 2 points to the Raptors. Again, doesn't matter, but I'll just bring it up. But again, there was no Jaylen Brown. There was no Derek White. There was no Sam Hauser. Jordan Walsh, if you'd like to include him, obviously was not a part of that game as well. And Toronto didn't have anybody out there. The horrific thing was the 29 turnovers. But I guess I will also mention that most of those came from guys that are going to be in Maine, not in Boston. So I'm not even playing
Baylor.
Baylor. Yeah, Baylor. Fair. Yeah. And Baylor
had three. I think you had 5, right? For the whole game? I think that's what it was. Not great.
So you know what? I'll take it back. Queta had 5.
Not great.
Pritchard and Simons each had 3. Baylor had 5. Amari Williams, who I would like to be this team's starting center, had 3.
Yeah, but he's the main guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So you tell me, through 2 games, what are the major takeaways?
For me, it's a couple things. First, in terms of the regular rotation guys, the championship core, they all look great. Derek looked great. Jaylen looked great. Hauser looked great. That's all I think what we wanted to see from them. The things that I think are surprises and that matter, for me at least, are how Josh Minott has looked specifically for this backup wing role. That I always looked at that as there's a couple of rotational battles up for grabs. I always felt that backup 3, backup 4 between Walsh and Minott was one of those battles. It's unfortunate that Walsh got hurt, but through 2 games, the sheer fact that Josh Minott just seems like a guy who makes shit happen, is a high energy, has great length. He looks like a player that when I see and think of what I want the Celtics to look like and to play like, he looks like a guy who I would feel totally comfortable giving 15 to 20 minutes to. And that's one of the unproven minimum young players that we need to be hits on this roster. He's off to a fantastic start, and I think he's the leader in the clubhouse for that battle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the new guys that they brought in to kind of fill in some holes, Chris Boucher,
Oh yeah, him too. Yeah.
You know, Minott, and I'll throw Luka Garza in there too. Like those guys, it's going to be varying levels of this, but I can see roles for all three guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really important because again, at this point, as Greeny just mentioned, like Brad is trying to plug the holes on the ship and see if any of these guys can really stick between them, and then you have the Baylor Shiremans who had five. Again, we talked about 5 turnovers, hasn't looked great since summer league. You have Jordan Walsh getting hurt. We don't know with Hugo Gonzalez what he's going to really look like. Obviously, the tip, and then the yam on the other end that was really great the other night. That was fun, but he's just a baby deer. We have no idea what to expect. They're going to need adults to like come out and do stuff. Is Luka Garza going to be amazing? Probably not. But is he going to be able to do stuff like as an offensive rebounder, as a floor spacer, as a guy that kind of, is a pesky guy around the rim that can make a couple things happen on offense? Yeah. Is Minott, if he plays, and I think he's going to, is he going to be an asshole defensively? Like yeah, absolutely. Boucher with 19 the other night, I think that's partially just because he was comfortable being in Toronto again and being on the floor. But he was doing some stuff like his one-on-one score. I was like, I don't know if this is what we're looking for, but it's good to know that he's got this in the bag. So it's again, you can see that there's a plan there with those three guys. Whether it's going to be this high-end thing, probably not. But I can see roles for all three guys, and that makes me breathe just a little easier at night, Greeny.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're all just looking for confirmation of skill sets, right? Like that's what this is all about. Can you prove to be good at one thing or one or two things that can lead you to being in the rotation for when the games matter? Let me throw a comparison to you. When I watch Luka Garza play, it reminds me of pre-leap Luke Cornett. So the early Celtic year, Luke Cornett, the one that like literally couldn't catch a pass. And you're like, how is this guy in the NBA? And then 5 seconds later, he does something so incredible. Like I watched Luka Garza in the pick and roll as a roll man, and it is the slowest, like most brutal offensive possession that you could imagine. But then now I'm seeing him be a dog on the offensive glass, earn extra possessions, get putbacks. That is a role that I think he can thrive in. With Minott, I need to see who is going to elevate themselves as that defensive dog, high energy player that has great length and is super athletic. They don't really have that on the roster with Tatum injured in that wing 3-4 hybrid kind of role. He's showing that he can do that. Boucher, name me another center that you feel comfortable putting the ball on the floor and attacking the ball, attacking the rim from the perimeter. We don't have it. So if he's going to be able to provide that, I'm totally fine playing him as a double big floor spacer next to Keita, or maybe using him as a floor spacing 5. He has played his way. If you want to tell me that they should start Boucher over Keita, I don't think that we can say through 2 games that that's a crazy, proclamation.
No. Boucher, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, only 2 turnovers, just 1 foul, 23 minutes of plus 22 in a game the Celtics lost by 2 because, as we know, gave it away in the second half. At halftime, they were up in that game by, what?
21, I think.
21, 22 points. Yeah, something along those lines.
Richard cooked somebody. It was awesome.
Yeah, fun highlight if anybody missed it. So let's keep going with the front court here because, as we know from Al Horford moving on to Golden State, which we all hate, but was inevitable. Luke Cornett getting the bag in San Antonio. Good for him. Kristaps Porzingis, I don't think people are heartbroken just because of, again, the lack of dependability to stay on the floor. He gets dealt away to Atlanta in a cost-cutting move. And, you lose essentially your entire front court. And so you now bring in Boucher and Garza, Cade as a holdover, Tillman, obviously, if we want to include him. And we spent the last, several weeks anyway, months maybe, talking about how this is on paper the worst front court in the NBA. It's maybe a G League front court. You've seen a couple of games now, not at full strength, obviously, for one reason or another, and certainly not playing against full strength competition. But nevertheless, you've started to see how it kind of goes together. Not reliable rotations. Joe Mazzulla's not showing us his cards yet, but we're getting a sense of what this is going to look like. Are you encouraged by the front court play?
I look at it as mostly just confirmed of every worry that I had about it when they first put it together. The rebounding is still atrocious. That's going to be a legitimate concern. And it's that way against backups. What is it going to be when Giannis is on the floor? What's it going to be when you play a team like Houston in the first week of the season that's super long? Cleveland that has double 7-footers. So I'm very concerned about their defensive rebounding. I'm still very concerned with how slow-footed they are.
Real quick, sorry to cut you off. I want you to keep going, but just to respond to that, I think there will be some people out there that listen and say, I mean, they've out-rebounded their opponents in both games. What is it about the rebounding that has you panicked that you think is going to be so awful? Shed some light on that for real quick.
Yeah, I just think that, especially when they're only playing, if they're only going to be playing one big, like let's say it's Keita and then Hauser or Minott at the 4, I just think they just are giving up too many. I think they're probably giving up around 15 or 16 offensive rebounds a game. Like they won the rebounding battle yesterday because I think they dominated, defensively and forcing tough shots. But in the Memphis game, it was still, I mean, Joe was calling angry early timeouts. I have very big concerns against starter level competition that it's just going to be an Achilles heel. And if you're giving up extra possessions and you're always taking the ball out of the basket, I think that allows your opponent to go back and set their defense. So now your half court offense is even harder because you're not generating these fast break, get a rebound and go opportunities. So I'm just not sold on it yet. I do have concerns also. I don't trust anybody to switch on this roster in this front court as of now. Like I don't want Luka Garza in space. Even though Tillman looks thinner, I don't want him in space. Keita, we know, is going to struggle. So I just have questions of if they can't switch to the level that we're used to, not even factoring in the point of attack downgrades, just from switching the bigs. If we can't switch, are we just going to be playing heavy drop like this entire season? So I don't know. I just think there's a big difference in going from switching into Al Horford to switching into, Luka Garza that's just such a heavy drop off. And I also don't know where the shooting is going to come from the front court. We say Luka Garza is a floor spacer, but he's a career 31% shooter. Tillman, I think, is 1 for 5 to start the preseason. And his have all been primarily wide open looks. So, I'm not ready to say he's going to be a serviceable, consistent 3-point shooter. So I wonder if they're not going to be able to space the floor. If Boucher is their only floor spacing big, what are you going to do to create driving lanes for your best players? So I just think that when it comes to the front court, while Boucher and them have shown signs at certain skill sets, it has not answered any of my concerns that, we had growing into it when they put the roster together.
Yeah, it's got to be fundamentally really different on offense and on defense is what they have to do. And the problem is we really haven't seen in 2 games like enough data to suggest what this can look like concretely. Like I think, if you look at both games, you're trying to pick like some things out. Yeah, it's very obvious they're trying to play a little bit faster. I think it's obvious that they're trying to ramp up their defensive pressure on the ball. And again, with the guys that they got in the draft or have already on this team or they picked up in free agency, like you look at a guy like Peyton Pritchard or Hugo Gonzalez or Josh Minott, like those guys are pests as on-ball defenders. Like that's all going to translate well. Like Derek White, Jaylen Brown, that stuff. Like you can see that already happening, which is encouraging, right? Because Greeny, remind me if I'm wrong. I believe this team was very, very close to the bottom of the league, if not the bottom of the league, and generating turnovers as a half-court defense. I think they were more of a protect with Kristaps Porzingis. They're more of protect the rim, rebound the basketball,
get it and
get
go
out the break that way. This team's going to have to apply way more ball pressure, and we've seen it a little bit, which will help them again with their pace on the offensive end and try and get things going. But again, in 2 games with not a full roster for each game, playing not a full roster on the other side, like it's hard to take any general things away about how the way they're going to play because we just haven't seen it yet. So we still have these concerns that, again, because we just haven't seen any of these guys do these things. Like you're going to ask Keita to do some things that he's never done before. And you can go point to FIBA basketball this past offseason where he's doing stuff for Portugal, but like that's just not enough of a sample size with the guys that he plays with right now. Like, sure, he can maybe do that for Portugal, but we don't know what he looks like now. with this group of Celtics players.
And I just want to remind you guys, the first 7 games of the Celtics season, Philadelphia, Knicks, Detroit, a healthy Pelicans. They're not all injured yet. So Pelicans, Cleveland.
Yeah, but the Sixers are all injured.
I know, but Embiid, if he's there, like they still have size. So you play the Sixers again and then Houston. So right away, we're going to know how this front court stacks up against elite size and good teams, in playoff caliber teams in the NBA. And I just don't know if we've seen anything that makes you think that, it's going to be, smooth sailing against better competition.
Let's take a quick break, tell you about our good friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. You heard that right. 2,000 times your cash, Ev. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks.
Cough. Last week we went 3 for 3. We hit all 3. We 3x'd. Boop, 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 boop. Nice, right? So to give just a little tally so everybody understands, so far this year we've 1x, so we've got our money back 3 times. We missed 1 week and we 3x'd 1 week. So we're up. Cough. We're up. We can't go broke making a profit. So it's been a good year so far. So with that in mind, we got our flex play of the week this week. We're gonna go over across the pond for our first part of our lineup. Cortland Sutton, more than 4.5 receptions against the Jets. The Jets are terrible. I don't really have to explain myself. This one I'm a little dicey on, but I think we're going to be all right. Rico Dowdle, running back for the Carolina Panthers. No Chuba Hubbard this week. Cowboys are a bad defense. Rico Dowdle, more than 0.5 touchdowns this week.
Revenge narrative. I love it.
A little scary there, but again, you and I in the revenge game, we hit last week with Stephon Diggs. That was easy. And then we're going to go back to Steph Diggs, our buddy, for the last leg of this lineup. Stephon Diggs, more than 61.5 receiving yards against the Saints. I just think that's Drake May's favorite guy now. I think they have great chemistry. Last week against Buffalo, they were spectacular. And I think Steph Diggs is going for his 3rd straight 100-yard game. I think he could get it against the Saints in New Orleans, no problem. Flex play, we get 3 out of 3. That's a 3x. 2 out of 3, which I think we can do. 1x, so we get our money back, which is great. Again, we can't go broke making a profit. And when you win, getting your money out of into your account, out of your PrizePicks account, couldn't be any easier. Little as 15 minutes. I use Venmo. It's the easiest thing humanly possible. Your bank account, debit card, whatever, it all works. PrizePicks makes that part the easiest, Cough.
Couldn't be simpler. So download the app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after playing your first for $5. Again, download the PrizePicks app. Go do it right after listening to this show. The promo code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups after playing your first for only $5. PrizePicks. Run your game. Back with Greeny. So as we're trying to figure out what this Celtics team is going to look like, again, as you just put it, before our break there, against, elite size and maybe some better front-loaded competition before some of those injuries do start to set in. That applies to Boston as well, to some degree anyway. Not going to have a healthy Jayson Tatum, obviously, and we'll get to that. And, when or if we expect to see that throughout this year. I think that when or if is becoming a when for a lot of people, including here on this show. But as it exists right now, in no particular order, what is your rotation for this team? Let's say 1 through 8. And then I want you to also add in 9 and 10, but do the 8 first.
All right. No particular order.
All right, so I don't care if you say brown or white first, for instance.
Okay. We'll do White, Pritchard, Jalen, Hauser, Keita, Boucher, Minott. Who am I forgetting? Simons. That's your 8.
Okay.
9, I think you're going to see Garza and I want to say Hugo, but I'm almost like that might go to one of Walsh or Baylor just for seniority. And then whoever's left. That's what I'm saying. Baylor might be out. So that's what I mean.
Not going to Baylor
9,
right now.
like 9 is, I think, up for grab. I think anything past 8 is to be determined based on who looks the best at any given moment. So it's like, I'd say 8 certain in the rotation, and then a couple of spots where you could say there may be a month where this person gets 10 to 20 minutes, and then another month where their DMP coach's decision. Nobody has separated themselves. I want to say Hugo, but like he's a 19-year-old rookie, and I just don't know if he's going to be thrown to the wolves like that right away. But he may just play his way into it, given how he looks so far.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, and that's exactly who I wanted to focus on. Hugo is, 18 minutes per game in these first 2 games. Again, he's certainly not playing even the caliber of competition probably that he was playing overseas. I mean, he's been playing against men for many years, which is why I'm not surprised. This has been, a fairly, I don't want to use the term simple, but not a crazy adjustment for him. We'll see what he looks like as a scorer, as a shooter. But the thing that's really getting people's attention is his ability to fill out the box score, the energy, the speed, the hands. I mean, we're seeing rebounds, we're seeing blocks, we're seeing steals, we're seeing, some highlight reel plays, that chase down block. I think the dunk kind of got a little magnified, but yeah, that's just preseason excitement. But I don't know, he's looking like a kid that is going to fit in. And when I say fit in, I don't mean all of a sudden he's, your 6th man coming off the bench, or he's starting games or something like that. But he does look like a guy that's going to be in Boston more than he's going to be in Maine. And he looks like someone that I think could play some real rotational minutes for this team, even as soon as, let's say, 3-4 weeks into the season.
I don't even want him to go to Maine, to be honest. I want him, even if it's only for 5 or so minutes a game at the NBA level, because he's played professionally, he just feels different to me watching him. He, like you said, looks like he belongs, and he competes like he belongs. And he has a skill set. I think it was Evan, you mentioned it. He's an unbelievable offensive rebounder. And this preseason as a team, the Celtics have a team offensive rebound percentage of 38%, which would have led the entire NBA last year. That is going to be a weapon of how they generate offense, is crashing the offensive glass, because they don't have the shooting. So there's going to be a lot of misses and opportunities. He is instinctually one of the best crashers on the roster. So I think the fact that they probably realize that they need that chaos and skill set to score, I just think that he's going to play more than some may be expecting just for that. And he's a tremendous off-ball cutter. So it's like the 2 things that we're going to need to generate offense, he gives you. And those are things that it's okay if his shot is broken. It's okay if he can't beat anybody at the NBA level off the dribble so far, because those are energy and effort plays. And we know that an NBA vet over the course of 82 games is going to coast. But a try hard as shit rookie who's looking to make a name for himself, that's how you can make an impact and have a role, even as a 19-year-old.
Yeah, if you go back, and I watched way too much Hugo tape when he was drafted, just to get a feel for him. And the funniest thing is just to watch him crash from all over the court and just do unbelievable stuff to get a rebound and then get it back up there and score 2 points. Like, it's hilarious to watch. The one thing I also like about Hugo so far, and you're seeing some people write about it recently, is like how coachable he is. It seems like him and Joe have a real kind of interesting bond so far in the little that we've seen.
Joe said he yells at him in Spanish, right?
What?
Didn't Joe say that? He yells at him in Spanish?
Good. I hope so. That'd be really awesome. But it's like just one of these things where you get a baby deer in and you have no idea what to expect. And he just, again, as Greeny said, feels like professional. I love the fact that he's always looking to Joe for just a little bit of guidance, or, just to talk things out, what he's seeing, how he can, take what he's seeing and apply it in real time. Like, I love hearing that stuff. My only big issue with him is, and it's going to take time, but when he goes to drive against somebody, everybody
it's the same
is
Euro. It's a crime.
him up every single time.
He
just needs to learn how to not do that, and he'll be fine. I think he'll be able to draw fouls, get to the free throw line. Will hit him or not? We'll see. But it's like that's the only annoying thing that I see. That it's like, oh, like this is a I've seen it in both games. I've seen it several times. It's like
in summer league. It was a crutch in summer league. You could tell it's just what he feels comfortable doing. But the speed and the strength at the NBA level, even with the lower level end of bench NBA, like the better than summer league, but not normal rotation NBA talent, they can still sniff it out. So I'm with you. That's like they just have to coach that out of him and maybe like teach him a different move or just not be so predictable with it. But I also can't get past the idea that like, this is a developmental season. So when I'm thinking like, why send him to Maine? Give him those developmental minutes in the NBA. And if it's a disaster and you lose games, who gives a shit? Because that helps you. So if this was if Tatum was back and this was a normal season and it was a championship, competitive season, yeah, send him to Maine, give him spot minutes, let him grow that way. But in this unique opportunity, you really could, fast forward his development by throwing him to the NBA level Wolves and just seeing if he can sink or swim. It's almost like when Gordon Hayward got hurt, it was like a blessing in disguise that it then forced Jayson Tatum to grow up sooner and Jaylen Brown to grow up sooner and take on that challenge. Why can't that be true for whatever role Hugo might have as a rookie, right? Like you've played professionally. You're used to playing against grown men. We believe in your skill set. Like this is the year of any year in the Jays era to try crazy shit like that. See if he can sink or swim and take your lumps early in a throwaway year. Then we have a sort of half in Maine, half in Boston, doesn't really play. Now it's next season. Tatum's back and it's time to contention. We won't know if we can rely on Hugo in those situations. I would rather get through those growing pains now so that when we get to next season, now we're talking about maybe 25, 30 minutes a game for him as your sixth man if Pritchard is going to be starting and Simons isn't, extended. I don't want them to waste this unique opportunity. And I would even say the same thing with Amari Williams. Like, give all of your young picks that need to play or need to be hits, give them their minutes at the NBA level, use their 2-day duration or their 2-way day durations and see if they can hang.
So in terms of style of play, we've spent a lot of time, and I do want to get to Pritchard. I do want to get to Simons, and they sort of factor into this conversation too. But we've spent a lot of time on this podcast, including with you, talking about expectations for Joe Mazzulla and, again, unique opportunities. What this looks like with no Tatum for now, and obviously all the guys, Holiday, Horford, Cornette. Cornette doesn't really factor into the three-point conversation, but all these guys that have departed, Porzingis, and, what would it look like? This is Joe's opportunity to, rack that mastermind that he has there of playing into the strengths of the guys that he has and trying to maybe get away from the killer whale offense and approach this thing differently. And obviously there are aspects of that are happening. For instance, the pace, all the guys, Jalen especially has talked about, I don't feel like I'm on a basketball team, I feel like I'm on a track team. And they had that pace of 106, that absurd pace in that first game against the Grizzlies, but we also saw 53 3-point tries. They set the NBA record last year, averaging 48 and change. They had 53 in game one, only 38 in game two, but there was no Brown, there was no White, there was no Hauser. It would have been upwards of 50 if those guys were out there. So it doesn't seem like the 3-point chucking is not going to be a part of Mazzulla ball. It's here to stay with, I would argue, substantially less 3-point shooting ability than what you had last year. Do you like what you're seeing in terms of, I don't know, philosophically?
I don't know why anybody would want them to play any differently. They've been the most dominant team in the NBA since Joe Mazzulla has taken over. They have the most wins in the regular season. They have the most playoff wins.
Right, didn't a lot of that have to do with personnel?
Why can't it be both? We've seen plenty of stacked Celtics teams not win 60 games in the NBA championship. What happened in 2018-19 when they had one of the deepest Celtics rosters of my lifetime? That team won 49 games and lost in the second round. So I think success in the NBA, in my opinion, is a combination of a variety of factors. Your front office, your ownership's commitment to spending and winning, your coach's ability to create buy-in with his roster, the system in which you play, the talent in which you have. It's never one thing that says you're only winning because of talent or you're only winning because of the system. What works is how everything blends together.
So do you think they're stylistically playing the best system for their personnel?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they be? The people who are taking the threes are your best shooters. We're not seeing, Minott throw up 7 threes a game. We're not seeing Garza throw up.
It took 5. I don't need Minott shooting 5 threes.
True. Okay, that's fair. I think in the real games, like Joe brought this up, I think it was with Beetle and Zoe, they're missing around 8 to 10 threes from their front court. So somewhere in there's going to be different approaches and different, shots in their shot profile. But when I think of like the main foundation of how they should play, I never want them losing the shot margin. I never want them losing the 3-point. Like the reason they lost to Toronto last night is because Toronto took 46 threes to your 38. They were plus 18 in the 3-point margin. You did not play Missoula ball last night with who you had, and you played a team that was pressing the 3-point volume. In 2025, you have to do that. Look around the league and the other contenders. Look at someone like Denver, a team that never shoots threes. What did they go out and do this summer? They brought in outside shooting. They traded for Cam Johnson. They brought in Bruce Brown. They brought in Tim Hardaway Jr. They know they have to up their 3-point volume. So this idea that people think, okay, we just trade all of our threes for twos and we'll be in better offense. Well, let's think about it. Do you want to run Xavier Tillman post-ups? Do you want to run Luka Garza post-ups? Like, what are these adjustments and different shots that you're taking that are a better offense than creating a 2-on-1 advantage, generating an open catch and shoot 3 for your best 40% 3-point shooters? I will go to my grave believing that is how the Celtics reach their ceiling.
I'll tell you what I did like is I liked Jalen just killing everybody in the first game. I thought that was amazing to watch, just the stuff that he was able to do. And again, you're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, like Z League team. But I loved aggressive Jalen. I've noted that this offseason. There are videos that have popped out. The Celtics have leaked out of Jalen working with Sam Cassell. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I'm really into that. Have Jalen kind of get a little bit more of a bully ball style back to his game a little bit. I go back to the finals, and whenever he plays Luka Doncic, where he just like wants to roast Luka over and over and over again, it feels like he takes it personally. I like to see more of that stuff. He looked a little bit more athletic. He looked a little bit more spry. He was a little bit quicker off the dribble, all that good stuff. And the other thing I do like is just letting Derek White have the car keys for most of the game when he's on the floor. Like just, what do you have, 9 assists in game 1, 10 assists in game 1?
And I think 17 – I think he took like 17 or 18 shots too, right? Something crazy like that, if not more.
He's going to take 10 threes a game. Like I'm fully on board with the Derek White's going to take 10 threes. And he's probably going to shoot like 37, 38, 39% on those because he's just a great shooter. But I've been, we've all kind of been begging for it. It goes all the way back to when they had Marcus Smart and Derek at the same time. And it was that weird time where it's like, I know they love having Marcus on the floor because he's been there throughout the thick and the thin, but like Derek is clearly better as a point guard. And then they got Drew Holiday, and it was like, well, don't have to worry about that anymore because Drew Holiday is a great point guard, and Derek will just kind of be the guy over here as a 2 guard, and he can sub in as a point guard every once in a while. But now it's like fully Derek White, here are the keys, let's go. And I'm into that. And I think he does a great job controlling the pace of the game. Again, one game that we saw. But if you go back to the Memphis game and kind of bridge that in, I mean, the 2 guys that need to be the best players on the team, Jalen and Derek White, they look pretty good. They look great.
Yeah, when I think of stylistic changes, it's just more along the lines of what you mentioned. Play faster, don't walk the ball up, stop starting your offensive possessions with 8-9 seconds on the shot clock, that type of stuff. When I think of the foundation of how they play, I never want them to change drive and kick, create advantage, and make a defense pay for going in rotation. That is basketball in 2025. And nobody, again, I'm going to say it again, nobody in the NBA has done it better than the Joe Mazzulla Celtics since he took over. And I just think we maybe all as a fan base are upset with how they lost to the Knicks and how games 1 and 2 went over. But you forget they missed a shit ton of layups in that game. In the fourth quarter of game 2, 6 of their 11 shots down the stretch were all in the paint. They went like 1 of 6. So it's like people like to focus on the 3-point shooting and the volume because that's like the hot talking point. But you need that to be successful in today's NBA. What you don't need is playing slow, careless turnovers, lack of defense, not getting stops, not rebounding the defensive glass. Those are things that contribute to losing just as much as their 3-point approach. And I think Joe says it all the time. There's no mandate that you have to, and I even asked Derek White this on his podcast. There's no mandate that says we have to shoot nothing but threes. The mandate is create a 2-on-1 advantage and find the best shot possible. Why anyone would ever want that idea and that philosophy to change, you're going to have to convince me because I just don't understand the thinking behind that.
Tell you one thing I really like, and maybe it is fluky based on the games, the competition, what have you. Maybe it's a sign of things to come. I hope it is. A guy we talked about, Luka Garza, 6 of 9. I mean, I don't like the efficiency, but 6 of 9, 9 attempts from the free throw line in 16 minutes in the first game. And in the second game, 6 of 7 for the kids this time in 17 minutes. So, yeah, you like that, Ev? That's just in case my kids are watching so they can hear shit 17 times on this show. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will get into Simons and Pritchard maybe, obviously Tatum in his future as the Celtics are halfway through this preseason. But a quick break from some new friends here at Celtics Beat. One more quick break, and we want to tell you this message is sponsored by Raycon. It's Raycon's anniversary, and what better way to celebrate than with a deal on the Everyday Earbuds Classic. They are now 20% off, so it's the perfect time to get your hands on these. Reliable, super comfy, and easy to take anywhere. You'll see why they have been a fan favorite since day one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I use earbuds for everything in my life, everyday life, no matter what I'm doing. I got to have some stuff in. And look, when you have earbuds, they got to come with certain things. I need active noise cancellation. I need multi-point connectivity so you can pair 2 devices at once. I can tell you right now that helps so much when you have a partner and you're trying to show things back and forth. Trust me. And then the worst part is when you have these things, they don't actually stay in your ear. That bothers me. So that's a big thing. They have to be able to stay in your ear. And Kaufman, the Everyday Earbuds Classics, they come and they check all 3 of those boxes, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, quick charge, 10 minutes, gives you 90 minutes of playtime, up to 32 hours of battery life with the case. Awareness mode, perfect when you're walking the dog, running errands, whatever it may be. You can be tuned in to everything happening around you without missing a single beat. Seriously, everyday features, they live up to the name. So whether it's mowing the lawn, cleaning the house, working out in the gym, you name it, the Everyday Earbuds Classics are the best for every occasion. I use them for all those things and more, and you should too. Go to buyraycon.com/PCS to get 20% off the Everyday Earbuds Classic. All right, Greeny. So we got I was going to use the phrase long awaited. We had to wait one game. The debut for Anfernee Simons in a Celtics uniform in this loss in Toronto, which I'm not putting on him or anything like that. It's not like he was on the floor when that even happened. But 18 minutes, 2 of 7 from 3. 6 of 13 overall, made all 4 of his free throws, had a few assists, a couple rebounds, did turn the ball over a few times, 4 fouls in his 26 minutes, and he was +1. He was a plus player in a 2-point loss. Just want to, give him that credit. But this is a guy who I'm excited to see in real games against real competition as a real rotational member. I think most of us expect Peyton Pritchard is going to start more than he is not. And Simons is going to be the 6th man more than he is not. That's what I'm rooting for because I like the idea of him out there leading the second unit and being relied upon offensively. I think we had Bull Pett on the show however long ago over the summer, he had written an article about this, talking to, one of his sources, Ev, and you remember there was the whole focus on Simons, could potentially lead the team in scoring, based on what the shot volume is going to be in this offense, in Missoula ball, and all the 3-pointers. Now he just plays so perfectly into what Joe Missoula wants to do. Now, I don't think he's going to lead the team in scoring. I do think it's not outrageous to think that Simons could average 20 points in this offense coming off the bench, leading that unit, especially when you consider that they are absent Tatum, replacing 80 points of offense or something like that from last year's team. It's got to come from somewhere. So I think Simons is going to be involved in that mix. I think that, if he plays even respectable defense, which even he acknowledged comes down to effort, if he decides to show that this year, I mean, if this team is better, and I don't even mean great, but better, playoff team, top 6, a better team than a lot of people think they'll wind up being. And by the way, Vegas essentially has them as that. If they are a top 6 team and Simons is leading your second unit, I mean, I don't think it's a bold prediction, but I don't think it's like the boldest prediction that we could be looking at 3-6 man of the year out of 4 years. I think Simons could be in the conversation on this team, depending on how he is used and how efficient he is in his role.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's the biggest wild card of the entire season, not just for what it could look like now, but also what it could mean next year and moving forward if he proves that he's worth keeping and extending at a good team-friendly number. I just think his skill set and his age lines up with what the roster needs in this next iteration of the team when Tatum is back. And I think it all just comes down to how he defends. If he can be neutral or even just slightly below neutral, given what he does offensively, if that improves with better talent around him and better spacing, like I think it will, especially when it comes to his paint production and, how he's able to score outside of spacing the floor, I think he's a piece that you should keep. I think you're going to need primary shot creators. I don't hate the idea of lessening Tatum's load right away in terms of scoring and shot creation and responsibility. And they need to add elite talent for the next wave. And it's very hard to find that as a first apron, maybe second apron team. Like, you don't have a lot of ways to bring in the type of player that he could potentially develop and turn into be. So I cannot wait to see what he does with his opportunity. And I hope they don't flip him by the deadline. But if it's clear that he's not going to be a piece of it, then I think you should flip him and you should get what you can and go for the tank at that point. But if he proves to be serviceable, I think they should hold on to him and try to extend him at a team-friendly number.
I'm not sure you're able to flip him unless he's serviceable.
Yeah, I would.
People might want the expiring or like to go on like for maybe someone has an injury, like a playoff team has an injury that needs to replace it. I mean, you never know. I just think that you may have to take 60 cents on the dollar for him, but you can't let the asset leave for nothing if you don't plan on extending him. That's just, you lose the salary slot, you lose the asset. I can't imagine Brad would make that decision if they don't plan on keeping him post this year.
And again, he is a tough shot maker, like the Brandon, the Ingram types that are just, a guy that even with a hand in his face, you can make it. DeMar DeRozan for years killed the Celtics with tough mid-range shots over and over and over and over again. So maybe Boston's got one of those guys. We'll see again as guys get healthier and guys get more used to the roles if he gets a little more comfortable with it. I'm just, I guess, a standalone shooter. I love him. Maybe not as like a guy that gets into the bag a ton and tries to make something out of nothing. We'll see with that. But that's like if Tatum comes back and they have their normal rotation, I could really see him really shining. Like I could see Tatum playing that, point forward type of thing, having a couple of guys around him, like a Pritchard or a Simons and a Hauser and an X and a Y and a Z, being just an absolutely deadly body to have out there. You can't leave. So it makes the gravity on Tatum a little bit different. It makes his life a little bit easier. I think if all the guys that the newcomers, like outside of Hugo, just because of the obviously love affair we have with draft picks and young draft picks and what they can do, I think Simons is the guy I think I'm most excited for, although Minott is clearly climbing those rankings very, very quickly because of the defensive havoc stuff. It's just, I think there might be a point in which I might get a little sick of like Simons just trying to do too much because he just feels like he has to control the offense because, the other guys on the floor to start the season might not be the best guys to put with him. But like, I'm also excited to see a guy like that. Like Boston, you look at the Jamal Crawford types, the Lou Williams types. Sometimes those guys are really fun to watch on a weird night. And as Greeny has said, it's like, look, there's potential here, obviously, for a playoff run when it comes back. But this is a developmental season. Well, let's see what this kind of looks like. Let's see what Simons looks like, kind of hogging the ball too much and taking too many shots. I'm into it. Possibly.
When it comes to Tatum, anytime we get any sort of update, obviously we're going to react to it. And an update, a real update versus a fake update. A real update is when Jayson Tatum, in promoting his sneakers, Jordan, Tatum, whatever number he's up to, dunks on video for the first time off that ruptured Achilles. Got a lot of people excited, rightfully so, that he's doing this 5 months removed from this injury. A fake update, and I love him. I think he does great work, but sometimes it's just clickbaity BS. When Shams goes on McAfee and says, Jayson Tatum has told people he'd like to,
whatever. I bought it. I bet.
But there's nothing to buy with the whole, like, guess what, guys? Tatum's thinking about playing this year. No kidding. Like, that's all he's been talking about for 2 weeks in every effing interview that Tatum has done. He has said he's got a date circled on the calendar, and he's not saying that he's not playing this year, nor is he saying he is playing this year. But anybody with a brain knows that Tatum wants to play this year. That's why he hasn't been ruled out for the season, like Halliburton, like Lillard. He's working towards that. It's what we're hoping for. So that in mind, Greeny, is it going to happen? I opened the show saying, like, yeah, Tatum's going to play this year because I believe Tatum's going to play this year, and F here believes that Tatum is going to play this year. Now, the when and how good is he? Like, these are very valid questions. But in terms of we're going to see Jayson Tatum in a Celtics uniform in 2025-26. Have you bought in?
I change my mind on what I want maybe every 15 seconds.
I didn't ask what you want. I asked what you think.
I think it's not health dependent because I personally believe he won't be cleared until he's a bajillion percent healthy, right? I think it's ultimately just going to come down to where they are in the context of the seeding. Again, I keep going back to this being their one unique opportunity season. If they are on the play-in bubble, if they're like, floating around a game and a half of missing the play-in altogether, or, could potentially make the play-in but lose, I do not think you can I think it does more harm than good for you long-term in terms of you
don't want to screw up the asset, whether
that's to keep it or to flip it, because again, you have an expensive roster. You have one shot to obtain the highest pick that Brad Stevens has ever had in his entire existence. I don't think it's going to be top 5. I don't think they're going to be that bad to where you're at the top of the lottery. But
if the Mavericks,
right, that could happen. But even if it falls to like 8 to 9, 7 to 8, can you package a couple second round picks and move up a spot or two to get into the top 5? Can you flip that pick for a more proven, ready, younger player that's ready to contribute to your next version of the roster? The second you play Jayson Tatum, you're making the playoffs. If you have Jayson Tatum for a play-in game, he's winning you that play-in game. So you would then go through this whole season of a gap year, floating around, seeing what sticks, whatever, and you've ruined it and potentially set yourself back in terms of short-arming Brad Stevens and the type of assets you can give him and the ammo to go out and build your next title contender. If, like you said, the Celtics are comfortably in the top 6, the play-in is just, it's out of their cards, bring him back and play him. So because at that point, you're going to be in the playoffs, your asset's going to be in the low 20s. I'd rather see him play. So it's really just going to come down to, in my opinion, where they are when he's medically cleared. If they're in the play-in contention, tell him see you in 2026. Or if you bring Tatum back, shut Jalen down for the, you know what I mean? Like you have to recalibrate it because you can't think of it like the 96, 97 Spurs who had their one down year when David Robinson got hurt. They got Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I'm
Golden
aware.
State, right? Golden State. Steph Curry got hurt 5 games into the season. They still had their whole championship core around them. They won like 10 games and got the second pick. They whiffed on it, but it's just about getting that asset. So there's a blueprint in NBA history of title contending teams are suffering these catastrophic injuries to their best player that forces them to have a 1-year reset. They do the 1-year reset and it then set off their franchise for the next however many years. The Celtics have never been in the lottery in the Jays era. This is their one chance to arm themselves with something that could bring in a player. And I think they'll flip it. I don't even think they'll pick from it. I think they'll use that pick to trade for a win now player. And that is what I want for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown moving forward.
I just like have the I was smirking here the whole time because of the other leap that Greeny took. It wasn't the when's he going to come back and all of that. It was Jayson Tatum will win you a play-in game. So Greeny has moved already to when we see Tatum, if it's this year, like as soon as Tatum steps back on the floor, he is unchanged. He is
correct.
He is Jayson Tatum pre-injury, immediately following injury, which I think a lot of other people out there would say, I mean, maybe at the start of next year and knock some rust off. And that, like, how can we be so sure this guy's going to look the same right away after a ruptured Achilles? But so we've bought in on timeline, and Greeny has bought in on performance.
Yeah, I mean,
you just put that ad out, the Nike ad, where it's like he'll never be the same, and that should terrify you. Like he's not going to be the same because the ad said so.
I mean, have neither of you watched him, shuffle his feet and sprint full court 4 months after? I mean, I believe the second he is medically cleared, he is Jayson Tatum as we know him. I think he's that special of a unique
that's
case.
The dream.
I think and if it is a decline, it's like 99.8% Jayson Tatum. How about this? If there is a decline, it's the same sort of mental block that we needed Gordon Hayward to get over from his injury. Not that his skill set and his physical limitations have regressed. It will be, does he trust his body and his ankle to play the same way? If he does,
you think Hayward never returning to, there were flashes, but in general, never becoming the guy he was in Utah ever again was more mental than it was physical?
I think it was. I think he just didn't trust, and he kept getting hurt, kept spraining his ankle. I just think, especially that first year, that was what, the 18-19 underachieving season from hell. Like, yeah. I just don't think he ever he got past that mental, whatever it was. Every time he jumped, it felt like he was thinking about his injury. And I just think that snowballed. So when I think of Tatum's return, I have zero. I mean, I'm not a doctor. What do I know? I just base this off Twitter videos. But I just think the second he's allowed to play, I will not worry about his physical limitations. I will worry to see if he can mentally be the same player. And chances are he will, because he's a generational talent.
Yeah, I'm more convinced with each video he's coming back sooner and sooner and sooner. Like when you talk about, he's going to come back in the preseason. I'm almost there. I was so not anti this, but I wasn't allowing myself to think of it this way just because a guy snapped his Achilles in half, and I just know how long the timetable is. But I have reconfigured everything, and I fully believe he's back in like February, and we're going to sit here and we're going to say, should they do this? Should they not do this? And it's going to be one of these things where Jason's going to tell everybody I'm playing right now, and that's the way it's going to be. Like he's going to get medically cleared to do stuff. And by the time he gets to that point, he'll be 100 and whatever %. And he's going to come back out there like late February, early March and just pick it right back up where he left off. And the longer we go and the more that he reveals, the more convinced I am that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And maybe Coffin, maybe Grandy did know something. Maybe that March 4th date is the date. He didn't. I know he said he put it out there to kind of ruffle some feathers and rile people up, but maybe he knew something, because every other video you see, like in him dunking was amazing off 2 feet. That was ridiculous. The next one, what's he gonna do the next one?
Look, I said this to Grandy's face, Ev, when he was on with us.
Yeah.
That dude never says or tweets anything by accident, and he never suggests anything that is uninformed. So if he's putting out March 4th, I don't think it's just a random date on the calendar that he has circled. Now, we've talked about the birthday connection. It's a day after his birthday. It's a home game. It's Charlotte, all that fun stuff. But like
On Monday.
I don't think this is just from Grandy's imagination.
No, I don't think so either. Absolutely not. And the next video, what is he like? Windmill dunk from the free throw line? Like, I'm not quite sure what's next, but I will get so jacked up. I'll get riled up over it. I will watch it 14,000 times. And with each time, I'll convince myself it's an hour sooner. It's an hour sooner. It's an hour sooner than I thought the previous time that I watched it. I can't believe what he's doing. And maybe it's because we never had access before to some of this stuff that we don't get to see like the daily life of somebody like this recovering from an injury like this, or we don't see it often with guys of this age. Like it just feels foreign. So every update you get, you're like, I'm frothing at the mouth. Like they usually come out on Sundays. Like tomorrow is Sunday. What's he gonna do tomorrow? Are we gonna get another video tomorrow? Is he gonna be dribbling through his legs? Is he gonna be doing fadeaways? Like what's next? I just can't. I need more content. I'm starving for it.
Greeny, what do we think? What's the next video here? I mean, we're a ways away from seeing like clip of.
Well, I tweeted it out. I already know what it is. I tweeted it out. If you go and you search, it was DeJounte Murray 6 months after his Achilles. He put out a video where he catches like a reverse lob and lands. That is the next dunk that I think we see. Something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was like 6 months to the day of his injury. And you can see him. He gets a running start. He does like a little 360 lob and dunks it like a reverse lob. That is the one. We're going to see like a live action alley-oop dunk.
I'm ready. I'm born ready.
And I think we're going to get that in like 3 weeks.
I mean,
it might be sooner than that.
He's already standstill dunking. Like, how is that even possible?
Wild.
Also, one other Tatum thing before we wrap up. So Noah here at the network tweeted something out. She was at his shoe launch, I guess, earlier today. And someone asked Tatum about his favorite moments his last 5 years in Boston. He said, it's not even a question. I got 2 kids, I got drafted, and the parade was the best day of my life. I'm just a little surprised that the parade.
You're missing the second part of that where he says it's not the first, it won't be the last one that we have. Which
right? Yes. No, you're right, and I promise you that we're gonna have another one. Yeah, I open up the rest of the tweet. Thank you.
There you go.
I don't. I'm just surprised that he thought the parade was the best day, and I'm not even like I'm taking the personal like the kids out of it because most people would say like the birth of my kids, but that sort of thing. I'm just talking professionally. I would have thought he'd say like I don't know the day he won it, like lifted the trophy above his head or celebrated under the confetti or it speaks to I guess how impactful the parade was on him.
Well, it's 2 million people,
Yeah.
That's a pretty big party. It must be sick.
It's a big party.
Greeny, did you get a pair of Tatum 4s?
I must have not been on that PR list. I don't know. In fact, what's funny about that is the only shoe that I've been sent 2 shoes in my entire life.
Okay.
The first were the Kawhi New Balances because I have those,
yeah.
Boston. Yeah. So his first edition New Balances, and Timberland sent me a bright green Timbs that I gave to my brother because like they're so ridiculous. Other than that, if the Jordan brand team wants to send me some, I will gladly wear them, but I was not part of that PR push, unfortunately.
Yeah, likewise. How do we get on the how do we get on the Tatum colorways list there, Jordan Brand? We're out here. Man. We cover this team too. Let's go.
I want to get a pair of Tatums because I've been told they're like the lightest weight basketball shoe you could possibly imagine, and they're awesome. Buddy of mine plays with them. He said they're great.
There you go.
I need him.
All
I don't
right.
even know if I might have to take basketball up again just so I can play with him.
Ev's going to start playing basketball so that he can
That's
wear
right.
these sneakers. Beautiful. All right. Well, Greeny, we look forward to your hijinks on Twitter. Continue to cover this team as you do.
Yeah.
Continue
Now,
to do an
can
excellent job.
I make a confession first?
Yes.
Please, anyone who comes across that timeline, understand that I'm going to freak out over fake preseason games. I just don't know how not to, but I promise you it's not serious. I had to remind myself, I could feel myself getting my blood boiling, watching them not even able to dribble over half court last night. And my brain doesn't know how not to care. So just a warning. I'm sorry for spamming your feeds. If you follow me, I'm going to crash out over terrible basketball.
Listen, we are, we love Greeny for a number of reasons. We love the enthusiasm and kind of the voice of the fan and the irrational behavior that exists on Twitter, where you can find him, by the way, at Stool Greeny. But we also like to bring him on the show as we do regularly, at least monthly, to have maybe a more rational conversation around some of these things that don't necessarily come across on Twitter.
Thank you. It's good to have live context because sometimes the next day I go back, I'm like, God damn, what was I going through? It was like, this is a fake game. But in the moment, like, they all matter to me because I think every dribble is important. And if you're going to not even be able to dribble over half court, I can't sit here and pretend like that doesn't bother me because I enjoy and expect the Celtics to play well when they play any type of basketball game.
Listen, you could be watching a movie, a TV show you like. You know, like there are other ways to spend time than watching preseason basketball.
Not for me. I'm
not saying you should be doing those things. I'm saying if you're going to devote your energy to it, you want to at least see functional basketball.
True. Okay. But I think where I knew I was maybe headed in for a little bit of an issue was before preseason, I watched like 4 full-time games from the 24-25 or the 14-15 season pre-Isaiah when they were like 22-45. I was like, I need to go through this again so I can train my body not to be upset if they start the season like 2-9.
Jesus. All right. Celtics back at it. Preseason game number 3. It is Sunday night. Good news is a lot of the football will be over by that point. And you can enjoy some preseason action against the Cavaliers. Maybe a playoff preview of what's to come months down the line. It's game at the Garden, too. For Greeny on Twitter at Stool Greeny. For Evan Valenti on Twitter at that very name. I am Adam Kaufman, Adam M. Kaufman on Twitter. We appreciate you hanging out here with us. Again, we always like to remind you, Celtics Beat, it is available to you on, well, all across wherever you get your podcasts. If you want just the audio version, Apple, Pandora, Spotify, is Stitcher still a thing? I don't know. But you can find us, you can rate, review, you can subscribe, and of course, the video where you can see our smiling faces and whatever else we got going on. You can check out the CLNS YouTube page, the CLNS Media YouTube page, the specifically Celtics All Access page. We are right there for you, along with other great Celtics content across the network. Make sure you check it out. Boys, thank you so much. It's good to have basketball back. And Greeny,
sure.
Everyone, see ya.